The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Many years ago, there was a big tzaddik named the Husseiner Rebbe. The Rebbe from Hussein. And he had many Hasidim. One time, one of his Hasidim who lived in a different city came to the Rebbe and he presented the Rebbe a kvittel. The Rebbe looks at the kvittel and he hands it back to the Chassid and he said, "You didn't finish writing it." So the Chassid takes the kvittel, he looks at it. It looks like you wrote everything you wanted to write. He gives it back to the Rebbe. He says, "It's okay." The Rebbe looks at the kvittel again and he says, "You didn't finish writing the kvittel." And he gives it back again. The guy looks at it again. The kvittel is a note that you write something. You write your names on it and you request that the Rebbe should give you a bracha and daven for what you'll need. So the fellow looks at it again and he doesn't know what to do. He gives it back to the Rebbe the third time. The Rebbe looks at it and said, "You didn't include all the names of your children." The fellow looks at it, his name, his wife's name, and his children's name. The Rebbe said, "There's a child missing." And he looks, and indeed, the Rebbe was right. His daughter, one of his daughter's name was not on the kvittel. He says, "Rebbe, I already sat shiva for that daughter. She already joined a philharmonic in Berlin, and unfortunately she's not from anymore, and our family already sat shiva for her. She's not on this list." The Rebbe looks at him, gives him a stern look, and he says, "You never delete a child from your list. You never take off your child from your list. Put the child back on." The Rebbe says, "We already sat shiva for her. Put the child back on. You never take a child off the list." Okay, he wrote down the child. The Rebbe now takes the kvittel, and he reads it, and he gives a bracha for him, for his wife, and for all the children on that list. And he tells him, he says, "You have to always be concerned for all your children. Never stop thinking about all your children." Okay. A few months later, the Nazis started to come, and they started to spread their claws all over Europe. And unfortunately, this fellow and his wife and his children were taken away. He ended up in a concentration camp, and everybody was killed. He lost everybody. He alone survived. After the war, he ended up in a DP camp. And then eventually he made his way to New York. He was in New York. They gave him a little room to stay in a boarding house. And he was by himself. He would go to shul Friday night, Shabbos, and at times people would invite him for a meal. One time he was by a shul, and after davening was over, there was a fellow there pairing people up, and they paired him up with a young man. And he went to his house for the Friday night suda. They're walking home together, and they're talking, having a nice conversation. They come into the house. The fellow had two kids over there. They come over, they say Good Shabbos, little children say Good Shabbos. They went to the table, they start to sing Shalom Aleichem, Eishes Chayil. When it was time for Kiddush, the fellow asked his wife if she's ready to come out because he's ready to make Kiddush. She says, sure. She comes out of the kitchen and she sees the fellow standing there. And the fellow standing there sees her. And it only took a second for them to realize this is father and daughter. This was his daughter who went to the Philharmonic in Germany to join the band. And he lost her. And they ran over to each other, started hugging and kissing each other. And she explained that during the war she was hiding and how she came to New York and she married this fellow. And she's now from again, bringing up a from family. And the fellow realized all he has left from his whole family. His wife is gone, his children are gone. This one daughter who's now married and has beautiful children. Because the Rebbe told him, you never delete a child from your list. And because of that, he kept her in his mind and he included her in his tefillas. And you see from here that whenever we do what our Rabbanim tell us, we will never lose out.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org